you doing, family? We in this thing. Told y'all I was gonna come back on this motherfucker. I wasn't lying. We're gonna get a quick chapter of Luke before we get into this YouTube. Before we get into our reactions. Appreciate you for coming back by, stopping by with your boy, learning about some good Jesus and some other things, aliens and whatnot. Without further ado, let's get to this chapter so we can get to the learning process of this year. And Luke. My headphones on. Let's get it.
11. When Jesus had finished praying, one of his disciples said to him,
Lord, teach us to pray, just as John taught his followers to pray.
So Jesus told them,
Pray in this way. Father, help us to honor your name. Come and set up your kingdom. Give us each day the food we need. Forgive our sins, as we forgive everyone who has done wrong to us. And keep us from being tempted.
Then Jesus went on to say,
Suppose one of you goes to a friend in the middle of the night and says, Let me borrow 3 loaves of bread. A friend of mine has dropped in and I don't have a thing for him to eat. And suppose your friend answers, Don't bother me. The door is bolted and my children and I are in bed. I cannot get up to give you something. He may not get up and give you the bread just because you are his friend. But he will get up and give you as much as you need simply because you are not ashamed to keep on asking. So I tell you to ask and you will receive. Search and you will find. Knock and the door will be opened for you. Everyone who asks will receive. Everyone who searches will find. And the door will be opened for everyone who knocks. Which one of you fathers would give your hungry child a snake if the child asked for a fish? Which one of you would give your child a scorpion if the child asked for an egg? As bad as you are, you still know how to give good gifts to your children. But your heavenly Father is even more ready to give the Holy Spirit to anyone who asks.
Jesus forced a demon out of a man who could not talk. After the demon had gone out, the man started speaking, and the crowds were amazed. But some people said,
He forces out demons by the power of Beelzebul, the ruler of the demons.
Others wanted to put Jesus to the test, so they asked him to show them a sign from God. Jesus knew what they were thinking, and he said,
A kingdom where people fight each other will end up in ruin, and a family that fights will break up. If Satan fights against himself, how can his kingdom last? Yet you say that I force out demons by the power of Beelzebul. If I use his power to force out demons, whose power do your own followers use to force them out? They are the ones who will judge you. But if I use God's power to force out demons, it proves that God's kingdom has already come to you. When a strong man arms himself and guards his home, everything he owns is safe. But if a stronger man comes and defeats him, he will carry off the weapons in which the strong man trusted. Then he will divide with others what he has taken. If you are not on my side, you are against me. If you don't gather in the crop with me, you scatter it. When an evil spirit leaves a person, it travels through the desert looking for a place to rest. But when it doesn't find a place, it says, I will go back to the home I left. When it gets there and finds the place clean and fixed up, it goes off and finds 7 other evil spirits even worse than itself. They all come and make their home there, and that person ends...
Hold on, let me connect real quick. Yikes. all you people that are new that watch, I do dialysis every night. But the Lord has gave me understanding and a lot of different things. Before I was diagnosed by the doctors with this condition, I didn't have a lot of understanding that I do now, that God opened and revealed to me. And on top of that, it's like I eat better than I did before, and a lot of things I even feel more healthier than I did before in some ways. And so I just know that God's working it out for the best for me. And what looks bad and what looks crazy to other people or even to yourself, it's not what it seems just because it looks that way. You know what I mean? And we're people of habit, so we're used to waking up and looking around and being in the what's around us and what's affecting. You see somebody pass away, you see somebody die, and how it affects people. You get warped in that feeling that everybody has, and that becomes reality. You know what I mean? So whatever we're taught, even when we're young, or whatever we're taught to feel and think and react to, that's kind of how we grow up, and we find our own ways of doing so, but we still kind of attached to those feelings. So I just been opened up to a lot more just inside of life, I guess, and just understanding a lot more things that I didn't have my own understanding of, that I had like I took somebody else's understanding and made it my own instead of seeking God and finding his understanding, because his understanding is the understanding of things. And you know what I mean, it's easy to be manipulated, and I don't know, it's just easy to fall into habits, other people's habits, and in your own habits. So just some shit I learned on my journey that I share.
Ends up in worse shape than before.
While Jesus was still talking, a woman in the crowd spoke up.
The woman who gave birth to you and nursed you is blessed.
Jesus replied,
That's true. But the people who are really blessed are the ones who hear and obey God's message.
As crowds were gathering around Jesus, he said,
You people of today are evil. You keep looking for a sign from God. But what happened to Jonah is the only sign you will be given. Just as Jonah was a sign to the people of Nineveh, the Son of Man will be a sign to the people of today. When the judgment comes, the Queen of the South will stand there with you and condemn you. She traveled a long way to hear Solomon's wisdom, and yet here is something far greater than Solomon. The people of Nineveh will also stand there with you and condemn you. They turned to God when Jonah preached, and yet here is something far greater than Jonah. No one lights a lamp and then hides it or puts it under a clay pot. A lamp is put on a lampstand so that everyone who comes into the house can see the light. Your eyes are the lamp for your body. When your eyes are good, you have all the light you need. But when your eyes are bad, everything is dark. So be sure that your light is not darkness. If you have light and nothing is dark, then light will be everywhere, as when a lamp shines brightly on you.
When Jesus finished speaking, a Pharisee invited him home for a meal. Jesus went and sat down to eat. The Pharisee was surprised that he did not wash his hands before eating. So the Lord said to him,
You Pharisees clean the outside of cups and dishes, but on the inside you are greedy and evil. You fools.
Oh, 1 second. Check the heater line. That fixed it.
Didn't God make both the outside and the inside? If you would only give what you have to the poor, everything you do would please God. You Pharisees are in for trouble. You give God 1/10 of the spices from your gardens, such as mint and rue, but you cheat people, and you don't love God. You should be fair and kind to others, and still give 1/10 to God. You Pharisees are in for trouble. You love the front seats in the meeting places, and you like to be greeted with honor in the market. But you are in for trouble. You are like unmarked graves that people walk on without even knowing it.
A teacher of the law of Moses spoke up.
Teacher, you said cruel things about us.
Jesus replied,
You teachers are also in for trouble. You load people down with heavy burdens, but you won't lift a finger to help them carry the loads. Yes, you are really in for trouble. You build monuments to honor the prophets your own people murdered long ago. You must think that was the right thing for your people to do, or else you would not have built monuments for the prophets they murdered. Because of your evil deeds, the wisdom of God said, I will send prophets and apostles to you, but you will murder some and mistreat others. You people living today will be punished for all the prophets who have been murdered since the beginning of the world. This includes every prophet from the time of Abel to the time of Zechariah, who was murdered between the altar and the temple. You people will certainly be punished for all of this. You teachers of the law of Moses are really in for trouble. You carry the keys to the door of knowledge about God, but you never go in, and you keep others from going in.
Jesus was about to leave, but the teachers and the Pharisees wanted to get even with him. They tried to make him say what he thought about other things so that they could catch him saying something wrong. Luke 12.
Just want to do one chapter today.
As
think before we get into any like conspiracies.
Quickly defensible.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to put your seatbelts on for this one. Put your puppers on a leash, and I mean, holy.
Well, I guess we go into conspiracy first, because there's been a lot of plane crashes this year, so I want to see if we can find out if there's like a connection to why there's so many, because there's
Smokers, it ain't no darn jokers. You know what they say, right? If it's Boeing, I'm not going. It's simple as that. If it's Boeing, I'm not going. Nothing complicated. Simple as that. But I got a bunch of video clips that I'm going to share with you because, yeah, we had the Toronto plane crash happen the other day. But guess what? We got two more. Yeah, we got 2 more situations. I got a bunch of video clips that I'm going to share with you in this one. If you're new here, you do not have to like the video. You do not have to subscribe. None of that. I post random stuff. But before I show you guys like a bunch of these video clips here, I want to touch on this one real quick because after this plane crash in Toronto, crash landed, thankfully everybody survived, but it was horrifying, right? Plane landed upside down. You cannot make this up, right? And quickly after, rumors started swirling around that it was a brand new female pilot, part of the DEI initiative that Delta Airline had. Now these are rumors. We do not know who was flying the plane, at least as of now, or maybe we have the answers when you're watching this video in 2050. Maybe by that time we have the answers, okay? Yeah. But so far we do not know, right? But it was said that it was because of the brand new female pilots. And listen, man, females can fly the planes, females can drive cars. That's not the issue, and that's not what we're talking about. But with Delta Airline, they were really boasting when you have an unmanned flight crew. So Reddit detectives, Twitter detectives, they started going in gang, and yeah, we then started having like these videos of the females being strong, independent, and in this instance, you got like a couple of female pilots showing their BBL progress and all that. Bruh. I'm like, what are we talking about, homie? Listen, yeah, you getting BBL, bro. That's cool and all.
Cool, bro.
Having unmanned flight crew, I get it, Holmes.
There was provided via Storyful as well. Watch as a FedEx cargo plane made an emergency landing at Newark Airport in New Jersey this morning after a bird strike caused one of its engines to catch fire. That is according to an airport official.
Now, New Jersey has been a hotspot for UFO activity, drones activity, and all that. I hope that bird was safe. I hope that bird made a safe landing. I hope that bird is safe, man. You know.
Video shows the plane banking right when it lets off a large plume of smoke as fire appears from the right engine. Again, you are seeing it there on your screen, provided by Fox News and by Storyful. Eyewitnesses said that they heard a loud explosion, while another can be heard in one of the videos frantically yelling, quote, "Oh my..."
Did it crash?
Together, okay? Come on, man. And we had the Toronto plane crash. We had the Japanese airline or South. I hope that bird is safe, man. Poor bird. Poor bird. I don't think he's safe. But of course, I'm joking around. Skilled or not skilled, human error can happen even to the people or the pilots in this case that are skilled pilot. It can happen.
Oh yeah, I seen this video earlier. Check this out.
Here it is, the light turned on. See that?
Before starting the video, please hit the like and subscribe. I'd appreciate that a lot. The location is unknown for this first video, and it was posted in February, but I am sure it's an old video. So, in the footage, as you can see, a very classic and hard triangle UFO was recorded by someone using a night vision camera, which is why the footage is green. Well, as you can clearly see, that UFO has 3 lights in all the corners and a big one in the middle. But in my opinion, there is more to these lights because it's really possible that those lights have some kind of anti-gravity system that helps the craft to hover. Also, the footage is really good if it's a real one. Well, share your thoughts in the comments about it. This next footage is really authentic and interesting. And it's from Denver, Colorado, where this person and some other people saw a very weird thing hovering above the city. At first, the visibility was very low, and it was hard to understand what it was. But in seconds, that object turned on a very strong green light, and then turned it off again.
Here it is, the light turned on. See that? What the fuck, man?
What the fuck, man?
Start looking like it's dropping something out of it.
What the fuck's going on?
That's fucking weird, man.
Over a highway too?
Oh, the light went out. The fuck? The light went out again. And it is super close.
Well, I always say witnessing such things is a really amazing experience. And this is the first time I am seeing a UFO giving light like that. Seeing this, one theory came to my mind. What if that object was giving a signal to the people who were watching it? Because it's using a green light and green color represents peace and harmony, so it's very possible that they want to tell us that they came to help us. Well, that's just a theory, but let me know what you guys think. The location is unknown for this next video, but someone recorded this really flat, saucer-shaped UFO, which was slowly moving up into the sky. The place looks very random, like a road between trees, usually California or somewhere near.
No words. That's crazy. They can't even put no fake words in the background like the other rest of the videos. These AI videos got me fucked up.
Well, this clip looks 50-50 to me. It can be real or fake because there is no information about it. And whoever is recording it is not even giving any reaction. So that's suspicious. But if you have seen this footage and know if it's real or fake, then surely tell me in the comments. This next video was posted on February 19th, 2025. And it's from Argentina, where someone recorded this really odd-looking unknown craft, which is not making any sense.
Mira.
No, it's fake.
Ariel, mira eso. Amigo, ¿qué mierda es eso?
Well, again, whenever I see very short videos of UFOs, they look very suspicious to me because they don't give more information. And if someone saw something like that flying in the middle of a city or anywhere, why would they stop recording? Well, I am no one to say that. I just share compilations with you guys. So you tell me your thoughts on this particular one because it's really clear, but odd at the same time. This next one is interesting too because we've seen that whenever jets or helicopters approach these crafts, they just fly off at insane speeds. This jet pilot captured 2 saucer-shaped UFOs that were just flying casually in front of 2 military jets, like they were monitoring these jets. Shadows, so we cannot see the details, but we can see the crafts. And since there is no information on it, I'll leave this one to you guys as well. Let me know what you think about this footage. This next video is from Indonesia, and someone recorded this really huge snake-like creature going into what looks like an island or a ship.
Oh shit. I was thinking a bitch. What the fuck was
Well, you know very well that we don't know anything about our ocean. Only 5% has been explored. So the existence of a snake-like creature like that is not impossible because in the past, a lot of people have captured weird, strange creatures and animals near the ocean and on islands. So anything is possible. But what is this creature? From the looks of it, it's looking like a snake. And if it's real, then it's very, very huge. You can easily compare it with the island's size. But let me know, what do you think that creature is? This next footage is from a plane where this person captured a saucer-shaped UFO that looks like it dematerialized while flying at the same height as the plane. Well, the footage is cool. And I think what happened seems like dematerialization, but I think it just teleported itself because we did not see any movement. It just vanished from the spot.
No, that shit moved. You seen that?
Dematerialization, but I think it just teleported itself.
That shit took off.
It seems like dematerialization, but I think it just teleported itself because we did not see any movement. It just vanished from the spot. But you guys know better than me. So be sure to tell me what happened to that UFO. This next one is one of the clearest UFO pictures someone has captured very recently on February 13th, 2025 in Havana, Cuba. You can see how beautiful and stunning that picture looks. And the object looks like a huge ring with very bright lights on it. The person who uploaded this image improved it by tweaking it, and we got this amazing picture. I am sure that this UFO is not a normal one, but one of those mother UFOs, because the size is not small, and there must be a lot of space inside it. I personally have never seen any human technology like that, so it's sure that this is the UFO of NHI.
Bro, if that was real,
what's your thought on this image?
That's active. That's real. That's gonna be sick as fuck to go on a fucking ship like that and just walk around in a little fucking big ass floating ring. That should be sick. What am I about to do? Was it? I know it was Skizzle's page. Fuck, go back.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you might want to put your seatbelts on for this one. Put your poppers on.
This nigga's extra. Yeah. That's what I wanted to see. He's talking about some World War III just begun. Shit the fuck he's talking
Ladies
about.
and gentlemen, you might want to clench your butt cheeks for this one, because guess what? We ended up getting brand new patch notes. Everybody's beefing, man. What else can I say? So yesterday, apparently, the homie Trump was beefing, the homie Zelensky was beefing. Both of these boys were beefing, and both of them laid the wood down. I mean, pause real quick. Today, the homie Zelensky, after beefing with Trump, he went to London, man. He went to London. Situation is crazy right now. If you're new here, guys, you do not have to like the video. You do not have to subscribe.
Oh shit!
Random stuff out here, and
I was about to say they was squabbling. What the fuck?
Insane amount of videos. So yeah, this video is
that shit got me for a minute.
Now.
I almost believe that shit.
It's not real. This is made by AI, but absolutely hilarious. And we also got different versions of it too. Check this. Wait for it. Yeah, so both of them are playing like Kung Fu here, and you're gonna actually cut to the chase here. And yeah, let's actually get down to this one. Roll it.
President Zelensky left the US for London, touching down this morning.
Oh crap.
His motorcade headed straight for Downing Street. A planned meeting with the Prime Minister brought forward, a move that speaks to the urgency and precarity of this diplomatic row.
Yeah, there we go.
Cheered by supporters on his way into number 10 for a choreographed show of support from the Prime Minister. Handshake after handshake from Keir Starmer, who is also trying to keep the US on side. And
okay, they're treating him nicely right now. They're treating him nicely.
Spoke to both President Zelensky and President Trump last night.
You're very, very welcome here in Downing Street.
Inside, the warm words you would expect between these two leaders, but ones which have taken on new meaning in the last 24 hours.
A lasting peace for Ukraine, based on sovereignty and security for Ukraine. So important for Ukraine, so important for Europe, and so important for the United Kingdom.
We're happy, and we count on your support, and really, we're really happy that we have such partners and such friends.
Fantastic.
Tomorrow, Keir Starmer will host a wider summit of European leaders and focus on attempting to calm the crisis caused by yesterday's events.
He's all dressed up today.
Belittled, berated.
You don't have the cards right now.
Bro, what is wrong with this nigga Trump, bro? What is wrong with this nigga, man? He's all he said he's all dressed up today, like he's a little kid. Like, he just sunned that nigga, bro. The president of the United States. He just sunned that nigga, bro. That's some shit some niggas would say. Oh shit!
The crisis caused by yesterday's events.
Yo!
He's all dressed up today.
Belittled, berated.
You don't have the cards right now.
Whoa!
Belittled, berated.
You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't.
We're
You're playing cards.
Now I've seen like the entire thing, right? And listen, I'm not an American, okay? I gotta say this, but it felt like that there was just miscommunication, right? I feel like that the homie Zelensky was wanting to.
Hey,
say,
bro,
well,
you
like,
can't
hey,
make this
I
shit
hope you
up,
guys do
bro.
not go
This
through
you
what
gotta
we're
enjoy
going through
life,
right
bro.
now.
This
But he said that when you feel it, right? And that
You're
was the
playing
trigger, right?
cards.
After that, you see the phone shit.
Telling he's playing cards.
Right now. How dare you say that? And then you started like getting that insane beef, and then like everybody started beefing, right? But I could be wrong. I could be wrong. If I'm misinterpreting,
America,
you guys
man.
can definitely correct me in the comments below.
You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III.
Accused of being ungrateful for US support and shown the door.
Mr. President, is there no deal?
President Zelensky reacted with emotion, but today he was emollient.
What is
In
wrong with this
14
nigga?
social
He
media
is-
posts this morning,
And
he
this is
emphasized his gratitude for the US's backing of Ukraine. In Russia, officials have reacted with glee to what Donald Trump called great television, though there has been no comment
Yeah,
from
for
Vladimir
sure.
Putin as events have unfolded. European leaders.
Yeah, like what Putin gonna say, right? Putin gonna be saying, you comrades, just shake hands, comrades. Yeah, he's not gonna say that, like, duh. He's probably like smiling, he's probably doing helicopters with his willy, applause. He's probably laying the nuke down, know what I'm saying? Yeah, like Putin not gonna lay the wood down, bro. I rather all of these homies laying the wood down than a nuke down, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, like the video if you agree with that. Yeah, I rather them laying the wood down than the nuke down, man. It's like, damn, homie. Yeah, people out here trying to chase their dreams, man, and y'all suckers are trying to drop nukes, man. Come on, me.
Are now contending with the prospect of what could happen if the US pulls military support. In an impromptu press conference, Germany's foreign minister said her country needs to increase support for Ukraine without delay.
Der gestrige Abend hat unterstrichen.
Last night underlined that a new era of profanity has begun, a heinous time in which we must defend the rules-based international order and the strength of the law more than ever against the might of the strongest, because otherwise no free country can sleep peacefully anymore, which has a stronger neighbour.
This morning in Ukraine, the aftermath of drone strikes which damaged a hospital. A reminder of what is at stake as ties between Kyiv and its top military backer plunge to a new low.
Well, our reporter Francis Reed is at Downing Street with the latest. Francis.
Yeah, we've just seen President Zelensky come out of this door in the last couple of minutes, actually, and leave with his motorcade out of the main gates here. It's been a crucial weekend for him, of course, but also quite the weekend for...
Damn, man, yo, it's night and day difference. I mean, literally, when he was in America, it was daytime. Now it's nighttime. Bruh. I mean, literally, it is night and day difference, but metaphorically speaking, it is night and day. Like, he's so happy here. I mean, both of these homies laughing, they're chilling. They're talking about, I'm not sure what they're talking about, but you know what I'm saying, right? It is crazy.
The Prime Minister Starmer as well, who's now uniquely tasked with finding a way forward through all of this and kind of being the bridge between Europe and the US. That big...
Yo, the cameraman be like, let me actually pull the face cam right there. Look at that, cameraman. Let me show you this.
Bear hug when they first met. Not normal for the Prime Minister, but quite the contrast to the welcome that President Zelensky had.
It's like, because Trump didn't do that necessarily, so they're like, okay, we're gonna do it, and there are gonna be headlines, right? But the cameraman was like, hey, man, let me get that 4K picture of you, son. Yeah, the cameraman was like, nah, man, 4K picture coming in. Right now.
In the White House yesterday, and that was really quite deliberate, a deliberate show of warmth between the two nations. They didn't answer any of our questions when they went in or out of Downing Street today, but within the UK we've heard from other politicians today. Rachel Reeves has been meeting with her Ukrainian counterpart, Sergei Marchenko, the Minister of Finance, keen to offer support there. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch as well has also come out on social media. She said we need to remember that the villain is the war criminal, President Putin, who illegally invaded another sovereign country. As, of course, Reform UK leader Nigel Farage, as well, a long-term supporter and ally of Donald Trump, also said the spat makes Putin...
Yo, honestly, bro, Activision gonna make a brand new Call of Duty game immediately, okay? Maybe if there's only one map in that game, just make one game for all the presidents of the world, and you know what, like in that game they can drop nukes on each other in the game. They can like nuke each other. They can nuke each other in that Call of Duty game. They can make like one game and they can settle this, you know, and hit them up with a PlayStation controller, with an Xbox controller if they prefer an Xbox controller, or maybe they like playing PC on PC, maybe Steam. Yeah, right. Yeah. So hit them up with a Call of Duty game and they can like nuke each other in Call of Duty, right? Rather than thinking about nuking people in real life. You know what I'm saying? I think that can solve a lot of issues. You know, that can be very, very productive. You know, like the video if you agree, dislike if you disagree.
Didn't feel like the winner, and that Ukraine needs the right security guarantees. That is what they will be doing, of course, tomorrow. Not what they expected to be doing, but they're trying to work out now. Can Europe go it alone? That will be the crux.
Francis, thank you very much, Francis Reed, there at Downing Street. Well, earlier I spoke to Anthony Gardner, who was the US ambassador to the Europe.
Yeah, hoping for the best. Apparently there's more hoping for the best, man, because this may be a chain reaction, you know? Like, so far it seems peaceful right now, okay? Like, so far...
I've been watching this for 9 minutes, and I have no more information than when I first started watching this. What the fuck is going on other than the little funny shit? What the fuck are we watching? What are we talking about? I know I'm kind of high right now, but I need to know the negotios, nigga. Like, nigga, get to it, nigga. Is there war or no war? Fuck. I watch people just talking. Fuck. I gotta watch this shit. I'm gonna speed it up.
Welcomed. And you know, they were hugging, pause, they were shaking, handshaking is what I'm trying to say. They were handshaking. So yeah, so far seems chill, seems peaceful, and I hope it's gonna stay that way. Okay, let's hope it stays that way.
European Union between 2014 and 2017.
That was the most information I got.
And I began by asking him, with eyes now on Downing Street, what is the UK's role in brokering an agreement between the US and Ukraine?
It's a very good question, a very tough question. Because look, the UK is in a different position from the EU. That was made clear from the meeting in the Oval Office. There seemed to be some genuine warmth, and I think the Prime Minister played his hand very well. Just the fact the UK is not a member of the EU puts it in a better position, but it's not just that. It's the fact that the trading relationship is fundamentally different. So it can play a role. However, there is a limit, and the limit we saw in Technicolor in that fiasco yesterday, which is going to be very difficult to bridge. And secondly, it's time, and I hate to say this, it's time for European leaders, including Starmer, to realize that this administration actually wants to destroy the European Union. And that sounds pretty exaggerated. Perhaps some will think it's exaggerated, but it's not. I think that's actually what's going on. And I think the UK has a fundamental interest in ensuring that the EU remains strong.
Just in terms of the meeting yesterday, did Zelensky fall into a trap that was laid by Trump and Vance, as some commentators have suggested? Should he have gamed this whole situation a little bit better?
There are limits to that. I mean, look, one could say that he should have done what many other leaders have done, and to say, Mr. President, you're the best thing that's ever happened to the galaxy. Your deal is the best deal that's ever existed in this galaxy, and we're thrilled to have your support. All right, yeah, that's the narrative. But I think what happened, looking at the tape of what occurred, is that this administration actually wanted to humiliate him in front of the world. And some of the things that were said were literally taken out of the Putin playbook. That's what's very worrisome.
But Trump has said, isn't it better for these conversations to be out in the open and not behind closed doors? You can see everyone's cards, and Donald Trump has suggested that it's good for Americans to see this, and it's good telly.
Yeah, good TV. I mean, good content, I guess, right? Good drama content.
Good telly.
It's good.
Yeah, season 1. So far, it's season 1. So when is season 2 coming out?
Telly. That's a pretty low bar. I mean, that performance has never occurred in the Oval Office. I've been in many meetings in the Oval Office with two presidents, Bill Clinton and Obama. But look, it's not a partisan issue. This kind of a spectacle, that kind of a fiasco, never occurred under any Republican president at all, whether it's George Bush Sr. or Jr., Ronald Reagan, Nixon, Ford, you name it. It's never happened before for very good reason.
There's always a first time, you know what I'm saying? There's always a first time. But no, truly, I believe there was a whole lot of miscommunication as well, and based off of what I saw and what I heard. But yeah, man, like the homies were beefing, bro. Like the homies were beefing. Trump was beefing, J.D. Vance was beefing. I feel like that J.D. Vance also gaslit the homie up, and then the homie Zelensky's like, said that triggered Trump even more, and then all of them started like beefing, and then we started having that WrestleMania special, right? And right after Trump said, bro, like, I'm tired of people walking all over me, this is how I'm fighting back. So Trump like literally went in, he's like, yeah, bro, I'm tired of people walking all over me. So we saw the WrestleMania special come early.
When a foreign leader comes to the White House, he or she should expect to be treated with some degree of cordiality, especially, by the way, the leader, I would say a brave leader of a country that's been under attack. The man has lived in a bunker for 3 years. I think he had every expectation of being treated civilly, and he wasn't.
Looking to this summit tomorrow, what do you think will be the best case scenario for Europe?
Europe needs to step up. I mean, so many declarations have been made about this, but this really is the moment of Europe. To say to Donald Trump, we're going to stick behind Ukraine because this is fundamentally in our interest. We do not want to see Russian troops either take over Ukraine and certainly not threaten our borders.
Say the US steps out of the way completely, is not going to offer any assurances. Will European...
No, yeah, right. Like right now, everybody's like viewing this as bad, and yeah, it is. I mean, it's definitely is bad. But maybe like US stepping out can be a good thing because I'm just assuming that. Listen, I'm not a specialist or not a professional or anything like that. But just one man's opinion. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody got them. So maybe US stepping out is a good thing because maybe if they continuously help Ukraine, Russia is gonna be doing more and more crap, right? And then you got like Russia is like, yo, Yeltsin is be helping them. Yeah, here's a nuke, bro. Like, take a gift, you know, like they could do that crap. I just hope for the good outcome, bro. I just hope for ceasefire as well, just like everybody else. And I just hope that they settle this down, and I hope they ceasefire, man, because yeah, it's if not, it's a chain reaction. I mean, for how long this has been going on? Since 2022, right? Crazy.
Countries be able to club together and fill that gap.
And surely, I feel like that UK is gonna help. I think other countries gonna start to help as well. But then NATO, I believe NATO's gonna come together too, right? When push comes to shove, I think US gonna come back. US always gonna make a comeback, man. So even if they pull out, they don't pull in, pause, they're gonna be brought back in. So regardless, it's always this way.
Google Earth is getting a few more
Days Gone's remastered
This
version
image
just
has many suspecting that a giant sea creature is lurking in New Zealand waters. An engineer reportedly spotted the being in the Oki Bay while researching the area before heading there on vacation.
That shit looks like Cap.
There's some very weird things happening in the ocean right now, and it seems like even the most dangerous predators, like the hunter whale, are now running out of the ocean to the shore side because they seem to be afraid of something that's happening inside the ocean right now. And a fishing boat near Greece captured a footage in the ocean that's currently shocking the entire world, because what I'm going to be showing you in that footage is actually crazy. Let's first take a look with what's currently happening in the ocean. Now, many people have been speculating that the reason why even the most terrifying sea creatures are now scared of something that's actually living inside the ocean that seems to have been awakened after all these years is probably known to be a creature called the Leviathan. Now, Leviathan is a creature that's mentioned in the ancient scriptures of Torah, Bible, as well as Quran. And this creature is also mentioned in the Hindu scriptures, which is said to be a creature that will awaken during the end times. And this creature in the Norse mythology is also known as the world serpent, which is extremely huge in size that it can literally just swallow an entire nation. So that's the kind of size of this beast that we're dealing with that lives under the ocean. Now, of course, this is something a lot of people have been speculating that this could be one of the reasons as to why these fish are actually coming ashore. Now, take a look at this footage over here where you can see some sort of a mythical fish that has this electricity passing all over it. So this fish is named as the Doomsday Fish. Anytime this fish ends up coming up all the way to the shore, this most probably means that there is some sort of a massive disaster that's going to come up. Crazy this fish looks, and look at the sound that it makes. That's crazy. I don't know if it's electricity or if it's just its scales, man. That looks so good. As beautiful as it might seem, this fish is not something that should appear on the shores, because when it does, there is definitely some massive disaster that's coming up. And it's not just this. A couple days ago in India, there seems to be 700,000 tortoise that just came out of the beach in Odisha. And this is how crazy it looks, man. Just take a look at the stuff. These are how many of these things that are currently visible, and we don't know what's happening. It seems like, you know, most of them are laying eggs. Something that's inside the ocean, they just felt that, you know, it's not really safe, so they decided to show up on the shores in the beach. And it's not just hundreds and thousands, there are 700,000 of these turtles that are showing up in the beach. And how in the world is any of these things that we're witnessing right now even normal? Like 700,000 of them showing up at the same time. And then we also have the doomsday fish that's showing up in the shores. And I don't think there is anything out there in the ocean that the killer whales are even scared of. They're not even scared of sharks. And if these creatures are afraid of something that they've seen in the ocean, then that is something that we humans should be worried about. Because just a couple days ago in Australia, it seems like 150 killer whales showed up on the beach, and they were scared and they were freaking out, and most of the whales even ended up dead out of panic. Just take a look at this video here.
157 false killer whales have been stranded off the coast of Tasmania, Australia. Initial observations revealed 90 whales were
Look at that, they're
still
dead,
alive. But local wildlife officials said they'll euthanize the surviving animals after rough ocean conditions made it impossible to refloat them. Rescuers had attempted to send 2 of the whales back out to sea, but wind and rough seas meant they immediately returned to shore.
That's crazy. It doesn't seem like they want to go back as well. They're not putting any efforts in order to go back. They, on purpose, all of these whales and all these fish and turtles and some of the craziest creatures are coming out.
The cause of the stranding is still unknown.
I'm pretty sure there's a disaster coming. There is a massive disaster that's coming up. And also today we just found out that there is a brand new mysterious fish that was also found all the way up the shore. And these fish are like the brand new species that we have never known for all these years. If you take a look at it, it seems like it's a mysterious fish with transparent head and unique eyes spotted in deep seas. And it does actually looks crazy, man. Look at that stuff. Ooh, that's creepy as hell. That looks like an alien or something. And they have like 2 egg-like eyes. I don't know if those are like eyes. And they're pretty much just transparent. You can see all of their organs. You can see the brains, organs, and everything. That looks sick. That looks very sick. And I guess the fish is basically telling us to be more open-minded. Now, we also found another footage of this oarfish, which is also known as the doomsday fish. Apparently, they're trying to get this back into the water. And that's how huge it is. Look at the size of this thing. And this is supposed to be the doomsday fish that never appears on the shores. And these things are coming out in the beach. And this thing apparently appeared all the way back in 2011 in Japan before the infamous earthquake that happened. And it was one of the most craziest events of natural disasters in our history. And that was the time when they spotted this thing. And now after 23 years, it seems like the fish is back again. And also take a look at California right now. I don't know what the hell is going on. It seems like there are massive hordes of birds that are flying across. I don't know which exact location this is, but it seems like they're leaving California. Something crazy is going to happen. This definitely seems like there's some sort of a natural disaster that all of these creatures are like giving us a warning about, but there is something huge that's coming up is all I can say. And the fact that it's not just happening in one country, it's happening all across the world in all different nations. This means that there's some kind of a massive disaster that's coming up that's going to be affecting the entire earth. So that's the kind of disaster that all of these creatures are like very scared of. And most of the religious people, they believe that the reason why all of these things are coming out of the oceans and we can see birds that are like spooked out of something is probably because there could be this Leviathan creature that could finally be awakening, because there is a lot of end time prophecies that is according to Bible that has already been coming true. It seems like the Antichrist is coming up very soon. Now obviously take a look at all the things that's happening around us in the world. Euphrates River is completely drying up, which is also something that was already prophesied in Ezekiel's revelation. And it's not just that, we also saw deserts becoming forest, and there's also blizzard snowstorm all over the Saudi Arabia in the middle of deserts, which is something that just seems so impossible to happen. And we also saw rivers lushing out of deserts, which is also something the prophecy has stated. And the prophecy also says that water will be turning red blood color. And we are also seeing these things happen right now. And one of the most important things is that Israel has already announced that they are sacrificing the 5 red heifers, which is already revealed to Ezekiel in Revelations, where he got to see that Israel was indeed sacrificing 5 red heifers, and there will be a massive all-out scale war throughout the entire world because of this stuff. And then they're going to be building the 3rd Solomon temple, and after that the Jews believe that their Messiah is going to show up. But then in reality, according to Ezekiel, the Messiah that people have been waiting for is going to be the second coming of Christ. And above all, the scripture also mentions that there is a creature that is even bigger than nations combined. Like, it can literally swallow an entire part of the map and the country would never even exist. So that's how huge a massive creature that God has created has been in the ocean for all these years. And obviously I think we humans, we only kind of just explored 7% of the entire ocean. So there's still a lot of ocean left, which we obviously don't know what exists in there, that the creature that these guys are afraid of could end up being Leviathan. And there's this guy on Instagram named Mastermind Mystery. He posted a video that actually shows you what the Leviathan is basically all about. Just take a look at the stuff.
2026, the Leviathan will return, and I'll prove to you why. Centuries ago, ancient texts whispered about a colossal creature that slumbered beneath our oceans. Over the past 50 years, unexplained underwater anomalies have occurred, the most famous being the bloop. This noise was louder than any marine animal we've ever recorded, which emanated near the Pacific Ocean. Scientists believe there could be massive underwater caverns, perfect for the Leviathan to lay dormant. Large numbers of whales and dolphins have been filmed heading towards the beaches to strand themselves as if they were afraid of something. But why would the Leviathan awaken in 2026? Well, some theorists believe the moon's phases combined with its unique orbital cycles trigger not only tidal shifts, but awakened beasts at the bottom of the ocean.
I don't know if that's possible. Like, can this have any relation with like the moon and like the tidal shifts happening? Maybe, man, but as far as what I believe, like from the scriptures, this is going to happen eventually at the end times. And most of the guys watching this video who are not believers, who have never read the scriptures, they might be like, they're just watching some sort of a Godzilla movie. But yeah, this is exactly what's written in some of these scriptures. I would definitely suggest you guys to go ahead and read Bible, because it's one of the most interesting books that you will ever come across. And honestly, I don't know what's boring about the Bible, because if you do get to the chapter which is named Revelation, there are some mind-boggling prophecies that have already come true, and it's actually fantastic.
And so, in 2026, a supermoon is predicted to occur, which will be an astronomical event for our oceans. This is not a coincidence, and points to the Leviathan emerging from the deep depths of our oceans. Let me know what you think in the comments.
Imagine if this happens.
In 2026.
That would be crazy, man. We also have another video from Earth Trauma.
Yeah, this is it for us. Scientists have found this angry biblical creature that is larger than a continent.
I mean, this is something that you can actually go to Google Earth. Now, if you go down to Google Earth and search for this exact coordinates, then you will actually come across something that's absolutely crazy. Just take a look at this whole thing that has been growing for all these years. And scientists have been saying that it could just be some sort of a mountain that's like underneath the sea or oceans. If you take a look at this thing, man, it looks so freaking scary. It looks like a literal massive serpent face. And that's really scary, to be honest, dude. This is apparently how it looks like. And there seems to be like 2 eyes or something like that. And then these are like the nostrils. And apparently it's just coming out of the ocean. And that's how big it is. And just imagine if this is how big the head of the Leviathan is, and if you follow this all the way down, like the entire Earth, like you can just rotate all the way around and end somewhere around here, and this is how big the Leviathan is. Can you imagine? There could be literally nothing on Earth that we have as a weapon that could basically take this out. And that's what the Bible also says, that the Leviathan cannot be taken out by any weapon that exists on Earth, because it's that powerful. And the only way this could be taken down is by God himself, which is during the second coming of Christ. And currently the creature is residing under the water. A lot of people are saying that it's just some sort of an island or something like that, but this just looks super scary, to be honest.
Damn.
Let me just zoom in. You can't really see anything if you zoom in as well. It's just like ocean. It's just plain ocean around here, and this is what you're seeing from many years. So that's basically what this video has been
coming out of
describing.
the water, and we have been warned about this for centuries. People were terrified after a biblical end-of-the-world creature was seemingly spotted on Earth, as the Bible warns us in Isaiah 27:1 that a huge Leviathan creature will...
Look at that stuff. This is literally written in the scriptures, which basically says, may those cursed who curse the day, those who are ready to arouse the Leviathans. May the stars of its morning be dark, and may it look for light, but have none, and not see the dawning of the day. Now, this is basically during the second coming of Christ.
Until Judgment Day. And when it rises, it will be the end for us all. And many are horrified, saying, it's rising up now. Experts have taken this aerial view of a huge Leviathan-like head underneath the ocean, with many saying it cannot be landmass, as what appears to be its head is moving. Many
Exactly,
people were
right.
terrified.
Because right in this exact position, there's also this massive anomaly that was spotted in the weather system. And obviously the government said it's just some sort of an error in our system. There's nothing to worry about. And obviously I don't think no one's going to be believing the government at this point, because they might be lying about these things. They might be hiding some stuff. And obviously if they want to hide these things from us, so why would they even reveal any of these informations, right? Because there has been something that's been moving on in the weather forecast reports, and they said that it's just some sort of an error that they had in the system. But now that we are seeing all of these crazy things happening, and you know, all these fish that's coming across, we have turtles that's coming around. Recently, a few days ago, a Turkish fisherman recorded this footage where it seems like the waves doesn't look normal at all. Just take a look at this stuff, man. The waves are literally in box shape. And why would something like that even happen? That's not at all natural in any sort of way. And obviously, you know, when this video went viral, the government said that the reason why this could be happening is most probably because we have two different types of currents coming out from all the directions, and that is probably why it's caused. Then they also said that when such things happen, this most definitely means there is either a massive tsunami or a massive earthquake that is starting up. This was recorded right between the ocean of Greece and Turkey, and guess what? Just a couple of minutes ago, we got a report from Peninsula that a massive earthquake of magnitude 6 has just started up. And take a look at the stuff.
0 magnitude earthquake struck near the Minahasa Peninsula, Sulawesi, Indonesia at 6:55 a.m. local time on February 26, 2025. The epicenter was 45 kilometers southeast of Tutuyan.
Now, remember that this thing is currently happening, and it was recorded on February 26th at 6 magnitude, and it seems like the magnitude has been increasing ever since then. But looking at all the signs, it seems like it's not just going to be happening in Peninsula, it's also going to be happening all around the world, because we are basically seeing all of these ocean creatures that's coming out all over the world. It's not just in one particular location, so that's what's more concerning at this point.
In Bolang, Mongendau, Timor Regency, at a depth of 10 kilometers. BMKG reports no tsunami threat, but residents should remain cautious of aftershocks. Authorities are assessing the impact, and no immediate reports of damage or casualties have been confirmed. Stay alert, follow official updates, and take necessary safety precautions.
That's crazy. Because lately we've been seeing a lot of earthquakes that's happening in Greece, and a lot of tourists in Greece already left the place. And they also carried on some evacuation orders and all that stuff. And honestly, we don't exactly know if it's the Leviathan or not. Most signs and prophecies that definitely have been stating that there will be Leviathan that will rise up during the end times. And eventually, as we can see, a lot of end time prophecies are currently coming true. So we never know, man. Anything could be happening. And I think 2025 is going to be one of the most interesting years in order to take a look at all the prophecies coming true each and every single day. So it just seems like every day I sleep, I wake up, and then I look at some new prophecy that just came true. And it's just very exciting to look at these things, because we know that the end is near. And obviously, if you believe in Jesus, it's definitely going to be a happy ending for you. So yeah, I would honestly love to know what your opinions are. Leave your thoughts down below in the comments. It's going to be a very interesting topic to discuss. And if you guys did enjoy
I need to see this. No. Oh no. I don't know what the fuck this nigga's saying. Say no. I don't see no creature. Y'all see a creature? Y'all see a head? I don't see nothing. Oh shit! Oh shit! I see it. Where is this in Brazil? Oh hell no, that's right by us. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh you see that big motherfucker? Oh 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 oh. Shit, nigga. If that hold on, how do I turn it the other way? There we go. What the fuck? Nigga. This nigga like wrapped around Antarctica or some shit. That's an island. Is this nigga under? How he can't be under an island, can he? Oracle base. It's a base, nigga. see it though, but it might be a stretch. I can't. Oh shit! I can't see. Where the body would. I don't know, bro. It's like nothing can making it look like it's the actual body. Like, I don't know. Could be, but I don't know. Yeah, that's wild though. If that motherfucker's that big.
Coordinate.
Well, like he said, if you have Jesus as your savior, you should be all right regardless, no matter what. So I don't really worry about those things, but pray for the people who do, because they ain't a word of panic for no reason. Man, this life is crazy, bro. It's so easy to get wrapped up in bullshit and not know it. You just think that's life. That's just life. No, it's not. It's not at all. It's not life. The most insane footage of the biggest UFO. I don't believe it. Maybe I'm bullshit. I've been disappointed in the last UFO video that I watched, bro. They're supposed to have some more interesting shit than what they've been showing. They've been showing some CGI shit. Trying to keep up with the views or something. They just putting out a whole bunch of bullshit. Earth is a stage. I need to find some more about this nigga, Stephen Greer. UFO and National Security State Lecture. Oh, this thing came on again. Billy Carson, drone UFO advance. Go see what him and Vlad was talking about. Oh shit. What the fuck? members only. Crazy.
All right, here we go. Dr. Stephen Greer, welcome back. Famed researcher and retired emergency medical doctor who now heads a disclosure project and focuses on ending the secrecy around UFOs and UAPs. Welcome back to Vlad TV.
Thank you. Great to be here with you.
This is actually the first time we're face to face.
I know. It's great. I've been wanting to meet you for a long time.
Oh, yeah. No, last time we did it remotely, but I had to get in the same room with you.
Yes, so here we are. I'm glad you could come too.
Well, a lot has happened since last time.
Oh, boy.
So, Trump created a new task force that's focused on declassifying federal secrets, including UFOs. And Representative Anna Luna is heading up this task force.
Right.
Have they released anything so far?
No, and I must sure that Trump created that. That's been organized under the House Oversight Committee. Now, President Trump is wanting to declassify a number of documents and information, and everything is still under review from the White House point of view. The House Oversight Committee, because I personally have met with Ms. Luna and Burchett and had conversations with Representative Moskowitz and others. They have a task force that has a number of objectives. It's not only UAPs, other issues. I think the big problem I've seen in dealing with them for the last 2 or 3 years or so is that there's not a select committee with subpoena power, which they have to get. They've been blocked by some of the bad actors in the Congress. And number 2, they don't have the funding for a specialized staff. So you need a staff of people who can become expert in this area. And if not, you're not going to be able to know anything. So my experience there is that we'll go in with briefing materials that's dispositive evidence and proof and firsthand witnesses. Other people who are professional military and intelligence disinformation operatives go in and then gaslight them in another direction. So for the most part, these people in Congress mean well, but they don't know where the washroom is. They don't even know where the landscape is put out. So, and I don't see that changing. I know 3 years ago when I was brought into the Senate Intelligence Committee, SCIF, the Secure Compartmented Information Facility, where you do exchange sensitive and top secret information. Those guys who are at the top of Senate Intelligence and Armed Services investigating this hadn't not gotten anywhere. But the lead guy was told, you can spend 10 or 20% of your time on this. But his portfolio was oversight of CIA, NSA, National Reconnaissance Office. It runs all the secret spy satellites. I mean, come on. You need a staff of 20, 30 people who drill down on all the evidence and get to the bottom of it. So it's not muscled up to the extent it has to be. So what I say is that they have two pathways here. They either get it done right, or at least they open up their inquiry to first-hand whistleblowers like Mr. Barber, and not bring in people who are second, third, and fourth hand, don't know anything, right? So the hearing they had a few months ago in the House, there was no one there who knew anything about the subject. They were all second-hand, third-hand, speculative, people who had been with NASA but didn't know anything. I knew a number of them. And I'm going, why are these people testifying? You want someone who's actually handled the craft, handled the bodies, been operational on a retrieval team. Or even like Mr. Herrera, who came across this thing and almost lost his life by these thugs who said, look, we're going to mention this, you're dead. So now those are the people who need to be sworn in under oath. Now, the reason I say we have to have subpoena power is that if it's in the Congress, they can't force someone to come in, right, without a subpoena. They can invite people, but the really high value targets that I have on my list, they got to be subpoenaed. And then if they lie under oath to Congress, they got a problem. Now, the other pathway, which I think is more viable, would require executive orders from the president, and that would be under the executive branch and law enforcement. And law enforcement can compel without a subpoena. If you're brought in by a federal agent and asked about something and you lie, it's a felony, point blank. So the more efficient way to do this, in my opinion, would be the House and the Senate to investigate this, refer it to DOJ, because it's criminal activity. We can prove that. And then DOJ assigns to whatever divisions people to go out and do a proper investigation and pull people in and interrogate them, and if necessary, get warrants, no-knock warrants, to move into corporate locations and secret facilities that I have locations for, and they retrieve the evidence and proof. So that is something that could happen tonight if we could get executive orders from the president to do it. So that's what we're recommending. There are 5 executive orders we've given to them, and we'll see what happens in the next few weeks.
Well, Kash Patel, the new FBI director, he's been vocal about exposing UFO secrets and so forth. What's your take on this?
Yes, he has, but he's been gaslit by Lou Elizondo and other people that are professional disinformation operatives. So here's where you get into a big problem. When you have people who are very well trained to tell part information and part misinformation or disinformation, and you're not someone who's an expert in the area, it's so easy to gaslight them in the wrong way. For example, consistently, the nexus of folks doing that, Lou Elizondo and Chris Smellon and people like Jim Semivan and others, they'll say, well, they're a threat. We're trying to imply the aliens are some kind of threat. Well, they want people to believe that because they can get more money for the military-industrial complex. It's a hoax. But the other thing they'll say is, we don't have anything that flies like that. Oh, really? Yeah, we do. And we have had since the 50s. Literally since the 50s. So then you ask the question, if you put some real information, this is what I call it the poison pill. So on the outside of this poison pill of disinformation is the sweet truth of some facts and evidence. But inside, the messaging, the narrative, is a total disinformation narrative designed to move them off the path of finding what the real truth is. Now, I will tell you, the bigger secret here is not about extraterrestrials. It's about the fact that there's a covert, illegal operation, unconstitutional, that have technologies that can, as I'm quoting Admiral Wilson, the head of Intelligence Joint Staff that I briefed, can do circles around our B-2 stealth bomber, circles around it. So, and those are human. So that is a threat to the U.S. Constitution because of how they're operating, but it's also a strategic threat. And those assets are operating all over the world. We know they're in China, they're in Russia, they're in the Middle East. One was downed in Iran that we had retrieved. I have this from a Green Beret source who's read into that operation. So, you know, what I tell people is that that's the part of it they don't want the president and Congress and the American people to know, because that is the linchpin in being able to hoax an alien invasion or hoax an alien threat, right? And that is the 70-year plan. We're getting to the very end, the crescendo of a plan that was concocted by a bunch of psychopaths and sociopaths in 1953-54 to eventually, as Werner von Braun, who invented the rocket for Adolf Hitler, said, create an alien threat to unite the world around sort of a dystopic, totalitarian, militaristic situation. And we're right there. Vlad, we are right at that happening. And so what really worries me and keeps me up at night, I'll be very blunt, is that I don't see yet the bandwidth in Congress or in the White House yet to comprehend the vastness of this problem and how to discern the information from the disinformation. And in order to do that, they're going to have to pull in people like Mr. Barber and Don Paul, and these people, I know them, who have handled both ends of this. They've handled the man-made, and they've handled the ones that are, non-human. And so that has to be unpacked. Instead, they're listening to people and saying, oh, well, don't look behind this curtain, right? So I liken this organization keeping the secret to the Wizard of Oz. You know, and it's this old crudmudgeon back there pulling levers, scaling the hell out of Dorothy and scaring the Scarecrow and all that. And they're very good at what they're doing. And because there's not a professional staffing right now looking at this, either in the White House or Congress, they're susceptible to that. And it's a little, I've said to people very high up in Congress and the administration, a little knowledge on this is a very dangerous thing, extremely dangerous. You don't want dilettantes in there.
I mean, this whole concept of creating a fake alien invasion to take control of the world,
it's
been floating around. There's something called Project Blue Beam.
Sure.
And more recently, I remember there was a comic book I read that later on became a movie and a series called The Watchmen, where essentially the premise of the comic book was that, in an alternate, reality, America and Russia are about to launch nuclear missiles at each other, and one of these guys, Ozymandias, basically drops a fake alien in the middle of Times Square that kills thousands of people, and suddenly everyone unites, and America and Russia are best friends.
Well, the best thing for that was Independence Day, the movie.
Right, that as well. Right.
That's the one that was really the hallmark, and that was right out of CIA PSYOP, psychological warfare scripting, because it was like the whole world united around fighting the alien threat. Now, obviously, it's a sexy movie line. It works in Hollywood here. You can be as dumb as you want to be and make a $2 billion movie, right? But don't quote me on that. Let me take that out. But true. But it's like that comic Ken Worthy or whatever. I can't fix stupid. But but we have a situation where that narrative has already happened. Here's the litmus test for this. When I was first starting to do this in my spare time as an emergency doctor, it came out that I was involved with, I think because I'd been on Larry King Live back in '94 or something like that. And my youngest daughter's school teacher wanted me to give a talk, and these are first graders in North Carolina, in Asheville, North Carolina. And they wanted to have have me come in and present on this. Now, you have to remember, my daughter was 6 years old. She's 36 now, so it's 30 years ago. And the first question out of the mouth of a babe was, yeah, but Dr. Greer, aren't you afraid that if you go out, you'll be abducted by the aliens? Now, this is a first grader in North Carolina 30 years ago. And at that point, I went, boom, psyops have reached saturation. That between movies and entertainment and the ufology mythology, everyone thinks that's going on when it's a CIA psyop, all right? Now, I knew that in the early 90s. I didn't know it until probably 92, 93. And then I had men who were operational, who had been on man-made UFOs, using strange robotic grays and other creatures to abduct people for the psychological warfare value, but also to cover up some real events. So sometimes there would be an actual ET event or an experimental aircraft of ours that looked like a UFO, and people would have seen it, and what they would do is create this fake alien abduction. Same thing with the cattle mutilations. That's what those are. Mm-hmm. And we've known this for a long time. Now, that's not the conventional wisdom. It's certainly not what someone like Lou Elizondo and those folks would go in and say. They say, oh, no, that's what the aliens are doing. And they know damn good and well it's all a psyop.
I think the biggest news in this world was the Jake Barber interview.
Oh, yes. I've been working with Mr. Barber for a couple of years and knew about his operations. Very little of what he did and knows has come out yet. Very, very little. But that's for reasons we can get into.
Okay, so Jake Barber is an Air Force vet, and a lot of the focus on the story was this egg-shaped craft that he actually came in contact with. This is not someone that was investigating things and so forth. This was actually a first-person encounter with some sort of craft.
No, he was on the retrieval teams officially.
Okay.
Out of the Delta Force. And that team, I'll let him say where they operate from. I've been there. They are a team that are contracted to participate in operations to down and retrieve extraterrestrial vehicles or NHI craft. So that is what he and his team did. He was in charge of security and transport for those special operations out at a couple of black sites in the desert. And I've been to these sites. And so I can speak to more detail about that. But that is actually what he did. It was not an incidental encounter. He was operational for about 20 years at a couple of these sites where that's going on. And I've known of those sites since the early 90s, since before he arrived. And so his operations go back quite some time there. So he became fairly senior over the years, and he went from being in the military to then working, being set up in a corporate entity that contracted and would sort of work with government and aerospace companies to acquire those craft and then get them downed and then retrieve them so they could be handed over to be studied or reverse engineered. So it's a very long and complex story, only part of which is going to come out immediately. We plan the rest of this year, next year it'll all come out.
So this particular egg spaceship, I guess, is this extraterrestrial?
Yes.
Or is it reverse engineered?
No, that one was ET origin. So, interestingly, he and I talk about this at some length. Right now, unless you're very expert in this area, you're not going to be able to distinguish between a non-human one and a reverse engineered one from Lockheed or Northrop, unless you know what to look for. And even then, the science of studying those technologies and aircraft from other places, that has been going on for 80 years, literally 80 years. So 45 to now. So there's been this, it started out like this, very slow, and then it, boom, broke out back around the mid to late 50s forward. It was a huge breakout in how those technologies operate. And people are shocked when I tell them, I have an intel source who is the top scientist at the Naval Research Labs in Washington. It's the largest Department of Defense lab. He was in the vault, as it's called, where a lot of classified things are kept on this subject. And he saw that it was October 1954 that we mastered gravity control. So now imagine you've mastered gravity control. We were fooling around with it prior to, but you mastered it by then. Now, 54 to now, 70 years. So imagine a 70-year technology curve with the brightest minds, scientific minds in the world, recruited, high school, college, into those programs, and virtually unlimited black budget funding, right? Trillions of dollars. So what is being flown out there would deceive the president, Senate Intelligence Committee, and this is the problem. So he and I have talked about this. So Jake Barber and I have had these long discussions where even for expert people like his team, often it's very hard to distinguish between one and the other. But this particular object is an egg-shaped object. Those have been reported for a very long time. Now, do we have knockoffs that look similar? Yes. So any shape that you would see that was non-human, we've sort of done a copycat. And that's for false flag operations. So, the public won't know, is it real? It's like the old, years ago when there used to be audio tape. Is it real or is it Memorex? Remember that commercial?
Yeah.
Is it real or is it Memorex? Is it an original that's non-human, extraterrestrial, or is it something that has been a facsimile that's been reproduced and which pretty much fool anyone who's not quite expert in the area? And I think in the last 30 years since I've been doing this, the refinement of that technology, at almost where, if you look at Michael Herrera's testimony, the Marine who encountered one of these man-made ones in Indonesia, it was so advanced, but then you could tell if you got close to it, it had seams and parts. It was man-made. It's a Lockheed platform. Ones that you see that are triangular, there are ones that are extraterrestrial that are triangular. Most of the ones people see are my uncle's old company, Northrop Grumman, or the Raytheon platforms that are triangular. Typically, the Raytheon ones are a little less equilateral. They're a little more elongated. And those, if you look at Stephen Dignan's testimony, it's up on our site, and we actually have it in our new book that just came out. I'm going to show you in a minute. That was at a level where it was almost had a living component. So when we went up and touched it, it kind of purred, reacted. If you look at his testimony, he was out here in California at Fort Irwin in 2000, and that was a Raytheon device. And I would say out of 1 million people, all 1 million people would think that was extraterrestrial, and it wasn't. He and his wife were abducted into it and tortured. But this is the other part of this whole story that no one gets. I mean, the ufology, it's all the abductions and mutilations. I say, yeah, I've debriefed about 24 guys who've been operational in those programs doing that. So, I'm sorry if you're gullible, but wake the fuck up. Excuse my language. But they ain't happening by the ETs. So most of the information on this is actually part information spun in with disinformation. And this is one of the real problems. And the reason I think it's important to bring this up is that when you're on these retrieval teams, like Jake was on, some of them are at a high enough level they're only retrieving, weird things. Like if you're on a retrieval team and you have a B-2 stealth go down, okay, that is one level of clearance. But it's another world when you start retrieving the man-made UFOs and the ET things. And so you get cleared slowly into that level. And I have a number of folks that we're working with who had that same trajectory. They start out very young, retrieving, a crashed jet, Air Force jet or something that had classified components on it. They all do, sensors and things like that. Be sure they don't fall into enemy hands. But then certain people then get cleared into this other level of exotics, or what's euphemistically called AT, advanced technologies, but super advanced exotic technologies.
I was just thinking about a dope ass movie idea, like if aliens came down and people had to sort of like getting used to being around aliens. It'd be like a scary movie where you get introduced to aliens and like you try to invite them into your home and shit. You be walking around the corner and they just be standing there looking at you and shit, freaking the fuck out of people because you're not used to them yet, not knowing what they gonna do. That'd be a dope ass movie though.
Well, Jake Barber said that he could actually summon this egg ship with his mind.
Yeah, it's not quite that simple. It's, as you know, in 1990 I started the whole CE5 contact initiative, using consciousness interfacing with extraterrestrial sensors. So what people don't realize, and they don't think about it, is that you're not going to be able to communicate with a radio frequency like your phone across the vastness of space, because it's at the speed of light, which is the speed of a radio frequency, to communicate to the Andromeda galaxy, which is 2.5 million light years from here. It'd take you 2.5 million years to get that signal there, and another 2.5 million years for the person to answer your call.
Right.
Not going to happen. So when you're dealing with, this is where you get into strange stuff, right? And the CIA people call it WSFM, stands for Weird Science and Frickin' Magic. That's literally what they call it. And my uncle's old company, I met an engineer who worked on this weird stuff, and he said, we just call it PFM, pure fucking magic. Excuse my language, but I mean, that's what they call it. And they're really high-end engineers in aerospace. So those technologies are the heart of one of the central things of the secrecy. Because I accidentally stumbled across that when I was 18, when I had a contact experience, and realized that those communication systems and those civilizations are interfacing with not just random thought and consciousness, but in a state of more expanded awareness and coherent thought, like a laser, like your thoughts are boom. They pick up on that at the speed of thought, which is instantaneous, because the conscious field is actually omnipresent. It's the ultimate quantum entangled field, meaning that every point in space and time is integrated into it, and there's no latency in time. Instant.
So you're saying thought is faster than light?
Oh yeah, it's instantaneous.
Got it.
And what is a quanta of thought? Can that be quantified? Yes, it has been, and it is. So the covert programs mirrored what we were doing for peaceful contact into a program they call P3, psionic operators, where they would find people and put them through a program training them so that they could become basically biological machines. And it was brutal. Most of them died, ended up in comas. But the ones that survived became adept at being able to do that, but for a hostile reason. They weren't doing it. The CE5 contact, I mean, anyone can do it. You can get the app, CE5 contact. The app is on all the stores. You can learn to do this, and it's for making peaceful contact. The aerospace industry and intelligence community said, wow, let's take this and turn it into a weapon system. So what they did was train people to do that with pretty good reliability, lock on to an extraterrestrial, say, guidance system, kind of slip in there, move it into range and hit it with an electromagnetic pulse weapon, knock it out of the sky. Opposite of what our purpose is. My purpose is to make peaceful contact and stop all that fighting. But the intelligence community, realized this a long time ago. I understand in the 50s, they realized that the technologies related to extraterrestrial craft and occupants were very much tied into that field of consciousness. So one of the problems that we're having with science right now is that everyone's sort of stuck in the flat earth society, because no one's caught up to the 50s yet, classified technologies. And so when he brought this out, people went, gosh, well, that's what Dr. Greer has been saying for 35 years. And but I knew it was operational. I mean, remember, there are a lot of people on my team who are they're former CIA remote view folks, and there was a 30-year program where the CIA used people like Ingo Swann, who's passed away, a great guy, who would use consciousness to spy on the Soviet Union or image something out in space, and they were actually incredibly accurate. So I think that's one of the things when you go from an understanding of the science of consciousness into applied physics, let's call it, with communication, but also targeting these objects. That's the really spooky end of it. That's very upsetting when people unpack the fact that it's not science fiction and it's real.
Well, one of the things that Jake mentioned is that he was actually able to control this ship with his mind using psionics, and he talked about how it differed based on the situation. Like there's a whole fight or flight aspect to how well he could control it. Do you understand that part? And can you explain it?
Well, what he was referring to, I don't think it was referring to him being the operator, but the ones that are P3 operators. So let's get clear on that, number one. And that the P3 operators are put into a training program. It's rather brutal, but it does involve drugs, dopamine, electromagnetic systems. A great many of them end up in a coma or end up dying. It's very brutal. But one of the stimulants that heightens your awareness is in a moment if they can induce a heightened state, situational awareness, like the whole fight or flight dynamic. Now, certainly in a meditative state, you don't need that to get to a higher state. But remember, this is the mindset of a military program. Boom, get it done, right? So it's hardly the integrative program of a meditative training like I teach. But it's like, get her done by any means. And so if some people get killed being experimental guinea pigs in this, too bad, it's collateral damage. So he's talking about how when you're in a moment where you're in a fight or flight situation, all your senses and your consciousness gets very focused, right? So it's an augmentation process that can be induced. And of course, I don't recommend it. It's a terrible thing to do to fellow human beings, in my opinion. But that is why. So there are many pathways to getting into that ability, and there are ones, some of which are very positive and a great experience for everyone, and some of which are brutal, which you would expect a hardcore military program run by sociopaths that just want to get something done, right? And hey, if there's collateral damage and people get killed or injured or commit suicide or whatever, who cares, right? It's sort of like when the head of the Army intelligence guy, General Stubblebine, took his boys through some training programs for consciousness and being able to remote view, and a huge percentage of them committed suicide and started doing drugs and became alcoholics and had mental breakdowns because they weren't doing it in an integrated way where they were unfolding naturally within. It was a very technologically oriented, brutal, get-it-done way. So you can get that result, right? I mean, if the goal is by any means necessary, get this done, right? You can do it, but look at the human cost. So I tell people this is not wise, nor is it humane, but that is an accurate description, what he said, of what they were doing. I have more information on those programs, and we have other people who've been operators in them. It's even the way they recruit and bring the people in. This is the part where, the whistleblower, Michael Herrera, who saw that operation in Indonesia, it's this huge 300-foot diameter octagonal craft. And underneath it was a platform, and there were crates. And he initially, when we last did our interview, I just was getting ready to do the National Press Club event about a year and a half ago. And Michael Herrera didn't know that in those crates were humans being moved around. He thought it was drugs or something. But there were little portable oxygen and HVAC units on it. And so those people were people who were going to either die or starve to death after that tsunami in Indonesia in 2009. And they said, hey, they went up, these special operations guys went up and said, look, you can either stay here and die, or you can come with us. And you'll live for now, And then they would move them into these operations and screen them to be P3 operators. And the P3 operators, the psionic operators, most of those people didn't pass the testing, but the ones who did then went into this more brutal program. The ones who didn't would work in STIFs, subterranean facilities or underground bases, cooking and cleaning and doing other things. So it's a rather disturbing, operation from start to finish. Although once they're there in custody, let's say, they're apparently treated quite well. But of course, it's like an indentured servitude in my mind. I mean, people can put whatever lipstick on that pig. To me, it's trafficking in desperate people and then using them for your own devices.
Yeah, that's crazy, bro. I'm still like, the government kidnaps people pretending to be aliens. Like, what the yeah, fake aliens around this motherfucker. We got bro, we gonna be alright. Do you hear me? We're gonna be alright. We gonna be alright. It's crazy, right? All that stuff, we can still be alright. That's how you know God is good, bro. I think I'm gonna find one more video. Dude, did I watch the one on to watch with this?
Two Oregon men found dead in a Washington state forest after they failed to return from a trip to look for Sasquatch.
A massive Bigfoot is now officially found in the Washington State Forest near the Pacific Northwest, which is close to the Gifford National Forest. And two men from Oregon tried to chase this Bigfoot and get a picture of this thing, and sadly both of them ended up losing their life in the process of capturing a picture of this Bigfoot. But thankfully we have plenty of videos of this Bigfoot that's actually moving around in the Washington State Forest, and one of the footage is actually gonna blow your minds off. Now before we take a look at that nerve-wracking footage, let's dive deep into the story of two men from Oregon that tried to capture this footage, and sadly they ended up losing their life in the process. Now these were two men, father and son, one being age 59 and the other one was 38 years old, and they were traveling all the way from Oregon to Pacific Northwest near the Gifford National Forest, which is usually where a lot of people have been spotting the Sasquatch, or you could also call this as the Giants or Bigfoot. So both father and son ended up spotting this 11 feet tall giant Bigfoot that was walking around in the Oklahoma Road near Vilgard. And if you live somewhere nearby, then you would probably know this location, and you also know that there has already been plenty of Bigfoot activities going on in this place. And when both the father and son got to take a look at this massive 11-foot tall Bigfoot, they decided to go ahead and chase this thing down and capture high quality footage so that they can show it to the world and let people know the truth that giants still do exist on our earth. And this is something the Bible already warns us about, that before we humans existed on this earth, there were already giants that were living on earth who were said to be created by the fallen angels. And when both the father and son traveled into the forest, it seems like they never returned back for a couple of days. And that's when they sent out a squad of 60 volunteers in order to look for these two guys for entirety of 3 days. And they even used canines and helicopters flying around in the forest using the infrared visions to pick up some heat signatures in order to see if they can find these two people that went missing. And thankfully, after 3 days of complete search into the forest, they ended up finding both of them, but unfortunately it seems like both the father and son did not make it. Now the report says that they have been dead for a couple of days already inside the forest, and it seems like some animals might have eaten up their bodies and there were just some remains that was left out. Now the forensic experts are wondering what could have basically caused their death, and they've been trying to find out these clues because a lot of people in the nearby location have already reported that there has been massive Bigfoot activities in this particular location, and they've already captured plenty of different videos of these Bigfoots that's been walking around in the forest. And one of the footage that you can actually look at from this location is from a truck driver who's been driving in this road late night with his headlights on, and he accidentally ends up capturing something crazy on his dash cam, which looks like a massive Bigfoot. Now as he keeps turning around, take a look at this stuff. It goes through the forest, and right around the corner you'll actually see that there is something gigantic that's just standing in those bushes. I think it's somewhere around here. Look at this stuff. Let me just pause it right here. Look at this stuff. There is literally something so massive that's standing behind the bushes and just hiding. It also looks like super wide as well. So I'll play this footage in like a super slow speed so you guys can take a look at what we're actually looking at. Look at that stuff. It definitely seems like there's something massive that's just standing right there and looking at him. Straight face to face. Look at that stuff, man. That's crazy. It seems like it's really wide in size as well. And comparing it with the truck's dash cam, we already know that the truck is like super huge in size, and it seems like the Sasquatch is almost the same size as the truck. That looks crazy and scary at the same time. And we also have another footage in the mountains. Apparently the police actually shut this place down because a lot of people have been reporting that there's been some sort of a Bigfoot activities going on, because there's been some sort of Bigfoot activities going on in this location. And here there was a camera placed to see if there is any sort of activities that happens in this location. It seems like one of the cameras picked up Bigfoot just standing right there if you look closely. At first glance I was not able to see it, but then if you just keep looking, it seems like the Bigfoot is actually going to pull this whole branch of tree. Look at that stuff. That's huge. That's no bear, okay? First of all, that is not a bear. It's not an elephant or nothing like that. It literally looks like a humanoid figure. And he's been breaking trees. Oh my god, that's a massive strength as well. And it seems like he's carrying... Oh, dude. He literally just threw the entire tree like it was some sort of a tiny stick. Now these are just the tip of the iceberg, because we got more footage that was shared. And I want you guys to take a look at this footage right here.
It's the only disease where you get to drink all the time.
Where it seems like, you know, some people were driving around in the forest using the ATVs, and they were actually trying to find the Bigfoot in this location, because a lot of people have been reporting this stuff. And they come across something crazy that they're going to be spotting in this location. Look at that stuff. Seems like they're just having some normal conversations. And did you guys see that? Look at this stuff. Let me play that back. Watch carefully. There is something that's running as fast as this ATV, man. Look at that stuff. A lot of people are saying that this could be fake. You know, we never know. A lot of people are saying that this could be fake, this could be hoaxed and all that stuff. But it definitely seems like it's not just the one footage that we've got. A lot of people have also reported that they've also been seeing a lot of Sasquatch activities. They've also captured plenty of different footage of something that's gigantic. This could be some sort of a gorilla that's like super huge, obviously. But it seems like after I've seen some of the documents and research about this stuff, some of the experts have already confirmed that gorillas are probably not a creature that's going to be walking in this particular postures. Because although they can like walk in two legs, but they can't really bend forward when they're walking like they are doing in this footage here.
Way it comes out of the trees is what we call a groucho walk. It's very typical. It seems to be out of human proportions in the sense that you can't see a neck. It has very beefy looking arms. It has interesting legs that seem shorter than what you would see in humans.
And there was also like a very, very clean footage from the Patterson Gimlin's Bigfoot film, where he did a full documentary about this thing, and he was saying that if was like a real Bigfoot that he ended up capturing. And a lot of people have a very hard time in order to believing on whether or not if this is a hoax. And some say that maybe it's just a human that's inside a costume and trying to act like a Bigfoot, and they're just making this whole stuff up. There are, of course, a lot of different opinions from different people, but then there's also a lot of different evidence that's actually being present before us, which says that the Bigfoots are indeed real. Now, the two guys that ended up dead after going on a search behind this Bigfoot hunt, the doctors are now assuming that the possible reason why they could have died could either be due to the exposure of extreme weather, because it seems like it was very cold in that region, and both the father and son, they didn't have the right gear set in order to survive in such a cold weather. So that's probably why they could have died in the forest, and maybe after that some animals might have eaten up their corpse. And keep this in mind that this is just one of the things that they are possibly believing that could be one of the reasons as to how they might have ended up dead. But there's also been a lot of strong evidence where another guy that was randomly driving one of his ATVs in the very same location in Washington, he ended up capturing a massive Bigfoot that was walking straight right past him, where a guy was traveling in Appalachian Mountains in Virginia, and he was just recording himself driving the ATV in the forest in some of the off-road terrains. And that's when he naturally came across this massive Bigfoot that was walking right past him, and it was in such a close proximity, it's just mind-blowing. Take a look at this footage. Look at that stuff, man. That's crazy. There's something massive, gigantic that's just walking right past him. And I mean, just look at his reaction. It seems like he's just minding his own business, and he's actually telling his friend behind to look at something, to take a look at that huge thing that's walking right past him. And he's looking back at that stuff, right? And this story was even featured on the History Channel, where they spoke about this whole research thing.
Dug barrels over rocks in the ravine, showing off for his young son. When suddenly something...
So it seems like both son and father, they ended up going to the forest, and that's when he came across this massive Bigfoot.
Crossing their path nonchalantly. Chuck stops cold in his tracks.
That's crazy.
What was that? It's a wide shot, so let's push in and slow down so you can get a better look. Bipedal figure that appears to be very large from this perspective, possibly exceeding 7 feet in height.
7 feet in height. But the one that we actually spoke about in Washington, that Bigfoot is said to be 11 feet tall.
Field researcher Cliff Barrickman says Bigfoot sightings in this area go all the way back to Native Americans.
Because these things go all the way back in the history, because the Bible also talks about this whole thing. Because in the Bible, it's also mentioned in Deuteronomy chapter 2, verse 10, the Memes dwelt therein in the times past, a people great and many, and as the Anakims, which also were accounted as the giants, but the Moabites called them the emisses. And in Numbers chapter 13, verse 33, it also mentions that there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so were we in their sights as well. And in Genesis, which is the very beginning chapters, on chapter 6, verse 4, which gives a clear explanation that there were giants in the earth in those days, when the sons of God came in unto the daughters of men, and they bore children to them, and the same became mighty men, which were of old men of renown. So even in the biblical scriptures, it already mentions that giants and Sasquatches, and something the Californian people like to call as the Bigfoots, do exist. And it seems like they existed way before we humans did, and also after we humans have been living on Earth. Which means that these creatures are still alive. And a lot of people are saying that, you know, the government already knows about this stuff, and they've been hiding some of these giants all the way behind the Antarctica massive wall, because for whatever reason, it seems like they're hiding something behind that wall. But then they say that they have some research center going on in there, but what's really going on in that research center that they need to keep it as such a massive secret? Now that's a question the whole world has been asking, but we don't have any answers yet. And we also have a footage which was captured in the same Appalachian mountain, and in this footage you can see a woman who's terrified of the noise of something just screaming in the woods, and she decides to record the stuff in order to capture the sound that she's hearing in front of her, and then she ends up capturing something absolutely terrifying. Take a look at this stuff.
I'm walking in the woods. I'm hearing really loud, weird noises. I feel like it could be Bigfoot. I am on the Appalachian Trail right now. I don't know what it is. I'm trying to get into this. I'm gonna ease into that barn house up there.
So she says that she's hearing something from that house up there. Look at that stuff, guys. Look at that stuff. Let me just zoom this in so you can take a look at this thing. There is something massive over here that's just walking past. Look at that. Oh my god. That does look like a Sasquatch. It's probably like 7 foot tall. And she's running for her life. Not even stopping, not even looking back. That's it. That's it. That's the video. She's just running for her life. That is crazy. That is crazy. So it just walks out there very casually. That's insane. So she's been saying that she's already been hearing some weird noises in that particular location of something just roaring, and then she captures this stuff. And in Virginia, it seems like a lot of people have reported this stuff, that they've been seeing a lot of these Sasquatch activities and, you know, giants that people like to call. And now in 2025, they have discovered that 2 people are dead, and they've been chasing down the trail of this Bigfoot that they spotted in Washington. And obviously, we're going to be getting some more updates on the situation. Hopefully, the doctors will be disclosing some solid information on what was the cause of their death. Was it some sort of a Bigfoot that kind of attacked them? And one question that kind of just raises in my mind is that, do Bigfoots actually eat us humans? Since they're huge and monstrous, could this mean that they probably see us like how we see the chickens and goats, and anytime they're hungry they could just take a bite out of us? That would actually be crazy. So honestly, I would love to know your opinions about this whole situation. I would love to read the comments, and I want to see if you guys have any stories. Leave them in the comments down below. It's actually going to be very interesting to see what you guys have to say. I would love to read and reply to as many as a possible.
Appreciate y'all for tapping in with me. I'm about to get up out of here. Go ahead. Take it down. Take it down. Nah, but I appreciate y'all, bro. I really do. Thanks y'all for watching. I'll be back on tomorrow. We're gonna get back into some more videos. Figure some shit out. But it was a good video. It was a good session though. We learned some shit. Donald Trump's a dumbass. I'll see y'all tomorrow.